I always said my son had a talent for running away from his feelings. Turns out the universe finally tripped him. It was a cold morning in New Montana when Jack found her. He was supposed to be doing a routine patrol, which in his vocabulary means someone's life is about to change forever. That's when he saw the refugee woman on the street corner, wrapped in a patched cloak, holding a small child with faintly glowing eyes. Yes, glowing. That's important. According to Jack, the kid bumped into him, stared up, and said, "Papa?" Now let me be clear. Jack had not heard that word directed at him in over a decade. Mostly because he ran off to become a space soldier instead of giving me grandchildren. He laughed it off. "Sorry, kid. Wrong guy." The woman looked up. And that's when my son forgot how to breathe. Because there she was, older, tired, stronger, still devastatingly familiar. Lyra, his wife. The one he married in secret during the border wars. The one he thought was dead. He whispered her name like it might break if he said it louder. She didn't smile. She just said, "You took long enough." Romantic, right? Now let me tell you about the kid. Because that revelation nearly killed me when Jack called. The boy's name was Cale, 5 years old, and carrying alien heritage so old it made historians nervous. His bloodline belonged to the Aurelian Reach, a species believed extinct. Turns out, not extinct, just hiding. Like my son does with emotions, Lyra explained everything. How she fled while pregnant. How Cale's abilities manifested early light manipulation, emotional resonance. Jack listened like a man realizing his entire life had skipped a chapter. "My son," he said quietly. I heard that pause. The fear, the hope. I also heard destiny laughing. Let me tell you something about Jack and Lyra. They loved each other like big, loud, galaxy-defying idiots. They married fast, promised forever. Then the war flared again. The colony fell. Everyone assumed she died. Jack carried that guilt for years. I watched it eat him alive, but Lyra survived. She raised Cale alone, taught him to hide his glow, to blend in. And now, fate dumped them back into Jack's arms like, "Congratulations, soldier. You're a husband and father again." Living together again was spectacularly uncomfortable. Jack tried cooking and burned everything. Lyra fixed it. Jack slept on the couch, then the floor, then accidentally rebuilt the nursery instead of fixing the couch. At one point, Cale asked, "Papa, why do you stare at Mama like you're afraid she'd disappear?" Jack answered honestly, "Because last time she did. That's when Jack called me. 'Dad,' he said, 'I found my wife.' And my kid." I paused, then said the only reasonable thing. "Finally. Took you long enough. When do I meet my grandson?" Nothing attracts trouble faster than a glowing child in a refugee district. Jack figured this out about 3 days after they moved in. He tried to handle it calmly. "Okay, buddy," he said, crouching in front of Cale. "We don't glow in public." Cale blinked. "But Papa, the light wants out." Lyra explained that suppressing his Aurelian abilities caused him pain. So if he hides it, it hurts him. If he doesn't, bounty hunters notice. Welcome to parenting an endangered species. Word spread fast. A refugee woman, a child with strange abilities, and a human colonel with too much firepower. One night, Jack caught a man outside running an Aurelian spectrum sweep. Jack pinned him to the wall. "Who sent you?" The man smiled. "Everyone." That's when Jack realized this wasn't just about safety. It was about legacy. Kale's bloodline had survived genocide, and the galaxy wanted it. He came home quiet that night. Lyra knew immediately. "They've found us." Jack nodded. "Yeah, but they're not taking you. Either of you." He said it with the kind of certainty that starts wars. Now here's the funny part. Jack and Lyra were still legally married, emotionally complicated. They argued about security protocols, curfews, how many stuffed animals a half-alien child needed. At one point, Lyra snapped, "You don't get to disappear for 5 years and then give orders." Jack shot back, "I didn't disappear. I thought you were dead." Then Kale walked in and asked, "Do all married people yell this much?" Jack sighed, "Nobody. Just us." Eventually, the full truth came out. Kale wasn't just Aurelian. He was royal lineage. Steward blood, capable of unlocking lost technologies and living star maps. Lyra had hidden it to protect him. Jack didn't yell. He just sat down heavily and said, "So my kid is a walking galactic disaster." "Yes," Lyra said. "But he's also kind, gentle, and yours." Jack looked at Kale, who was carefully lining up toy ships. "My son," he repeated. That word finally stuck. This is where I come back into the story. I flew to New Montana the second Jack told me everything. I took one look at Kale glowing eyes, polite manners, stubborn chin, and thought, "Yep, that's an O'Neill." I knelt down. "So you're my grandson." Kale studied me. "You are loud." "Correct," I said. "And I spoil." Instant bond. I pulled Jack aside later. "You screw this up," I told him, "and I will personally haunt you." Jack smiled. Tired, happy, terrified. For the first time in years, my son wasn't running. The universe has terrible timing. Just when Jack started settling into family life, Heritage showed up with a gunship, an old Aurelian design. "The conservators," Lyra whispered. "They found us. The ship didn't fire, it broadcast. Steward Kale of the Aurelian line, you are summoned." Jack flipped the transmitter off. "Yeah, no." Hard pass. The conservators claimed Kale was essential to restoring Aurelian civilization. Jack's response was immediate. "He's 5. They didn't care." Lyra was torn. I found Jack sitting outside Kale's room that night. "You're afraid," I said. He nodded. "I can fight armies. I can't fight destiny." I put a hand on his shoulder. "Then don't. Teach your son how to choose." That stuck. The next morning, Jack sat Kale down. "They say you're important, but you're also a kid. You don't owe anyone anything, not yet." Kale listened quietly. "I like my light," he said. "But I like Mama and Papa and Grandpa." Good answer. Stress does strange things to love. Jack and Lyra found themselves falling back into each other's gravity. They argued less, trusted deeper. One night, after a narrow escape, Jack said quietly, "I never stopped loving you." Lyra replied, "I never stopped waiting." The conservators left, but not peacefully. Intelligence reports confirmed factions were mobilizing. Everyone wanted the Aurelian heir. Jack stood in the command center, Kale asleep on his shoulder, Lyra at his side. "I will burn half the galaxy," he said calmly, "before I lose my family again." I smiled. That's my boy. If you've never watched a half-alien child learn how not to accidentally rewrite physics, let me tell you, it's exhausting. Jack turned one wing of the outpost into a training space. Kale's abilities were growing fast. On one memorable afternoon, he paused gravity for 3 seconds. Jack nearly had a heart attack. "Buddy," he said carefully, "we do not pause gravity indoors." Lyra stepped in gently. "Power without control is pain, Cale. Training became about balance, choice, and control." Jack wasn't teaching a weapon. He was raising a person. He also made it public. When a senator tried to relocate Lyra and Cale, Jack stood up in the council chamber. "This is my wife," he said. "This is my son. You don't move them without my consent." Someone laughed. Jack leaned forward. "I have ended wars over less." Silence. The galaxy learned something that day. Colonel O'Neill was no longer a lone soldier. He was a father. And fathers are dangerous. Lyra admitted she hadn't just been hiding, she'd been fighting. Sabotaging Aurelian hunters, smuggling survivors. "You were at war," Jack said softly. "So were you," she replied. That was the moment Jack truly saw her, not as someone he lost, but as someone who survived. They kissed that night, slow, certain. The conservators returned, and Cale stood before them. "I will learn who I am," he said. "But I will not leave my family." Aurelian law had no precedent for chosen family. Too bad. Cale's light flared controlled, intentional. They backed down. For now. So, of course, I decided it was time to do what grandfathers do best. I moved in. There's a moment before violence when the universe inhales. New Montana felt like that. The galaxy had stopped asking politely for Cale. It was preparing to take him. Jack adapted the way soldiers do, quietly, efficiently. The first strike came, not with a weapon, but a warrant. A custody challenge. Jack laughed when he read it. A short, humorless sound. "They really don't understand humans," he said. "No, they didn't understand fathers. Stress can break love, or it can reforge it into something unbreakable." Jack and Lyra chose the second. One night, Lyra said quietly, "We never finished our vows." Jack smiled tiredly. "I think we're living them." They remarried 3 days later, with Cale holding the data pad. "I pronounce you still married," he said solemnly. I cried. Don't tell anyone. Cale's heritage revealed itself fully. His bloodline could interface with ancient constructs capable of stabilizing star systems or collapsing them. Jack stared at the data. Of course, my kid's a galactic pressure point. His greatest lesson wasn't how to fight. It was how to say no to destiny. The galaxy finally pushed too hard. A coalition force arrived to secure the Aurelian asset. Jack called in favors. New Montana became a fortress. When the first shots were fired, Cale stood beside Jack, steady. I choose my family, he said. The sky lit up. The coalition retreated. After the smoke cleared, the galaxy backed off. Not out of fear, but respect. Treaties were signed. Protections formalized. Jack slept for 12 hours straight. But let me tell you something no one warns soldiers about. Peace is scarier than war. My son didn't know what to do with his hands. He paced. He fixed things that weren't broken. Cale, now 6 and far too observant, said, Papa, you look like you're waiting for something bad. Jack sat down heavily. Yeah, that's accurate. Peace meant a future. And futures require decisions. The conversation happened quietly on a balcony. I don't want to lose time again, Jack said. With you. With Cale. With anything we could have. Lyra reached for his hand. Are you saying what I think you're saying? Jack swallowed. I want more kids. With you. Cale overheard, of course. "You mean I get siblings?" he asked, eyes lighting up. Jack sighed. Privacy is dead. That was the moment this stopped being survival and became legacy. When Lyra told him she was pregnant, Jack froze, then whispered, "I'm going to need more bunk beds." I laughed for a solid minute. Cale became the most serious big brother in history. The baby was born under calm skies, human lungs, Aurelian light. O'Neill's stubbornness, perfect. Jack cried. I cried harder. 2 years later, there was another, and then another. Not because destiny demanded it, but because love did. I'm old. I've seen wars, extinctions, and miracles. This is my favorite ending. I sit on the porch in New Montana, surrounded by grandchildren, some glowing, some loud, all perfect. Jack watches them, smiling like a man who finally stopped running. Lyra leans into him. I clear my throat. "Told you you'd give me grandchildren." Jack groans. "You're impossible." "Yes," I say proudly. And right, the universe tried to break this family. It failed, because love, real love, doesn't glow quietly. It burns forever. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more stories.